Hello folks, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be learning about how to create a Maven project using IntelliJ. From this video, you will be learning about how to download and install IntelliJ, but we will not be going into details about installation in IntelliJ, but I'll show you some of the links and some details for which version of IntelliJ that we need to download and start working on it. We'll learn about creating a new Maven project in IntelliJ, the Maven project structure, what is Pom.xml, adding dependencies and plugins in Pom.xml, using properties block, and then finally running Maven commands using IntelliJ. So without any further delay, let's get into the process and start learning. So first, we'll have to download IntelliJ. So let's navigate to the official website of IntelliJ. We'll just type in download IntelliJ idea in the Google. And the first link that is the official link from JetBrains, we'll click on this link here. As you come on this link, there are two different versions. So by default, I'm working on the Mac OS, so that's the reason why it by default took me to the Mac OS page. But if you're working on Windows, you can come down to navigate to the Windows, or if you're working on Linux, you can navigate to the Linux tab, and I like simultaneously download the respective files for it. But the file that we need to download, there are two versions of IntelliJ. One is the ultimate one, and the other one is the community edition. Ultimate one is ideally a paid version. You'll have to purchase a license for this, but the community edition comes as a free. So we'll go ahead and download this community edition for Mac OS, which is a DMG file, and we can download the file. But as per your system requirement, like if you're on an Intel chip based Mac, you can download the Intel chip version, but I'm using an Apple Silicon version. That's the reason I will be using this DMG file here. Once you click on download, it should automatically begin your download, and I can see the download has begun here. But I won't be going ahead with the download because I already have the IntelliJ installed. So once this DMG file gets downloaded, you can just move this to the application folders on Mac OS. But in case of Windows, if you are using an exe based application, so you'll have to double click on that and follow on the process that the screen asks you to or prompts you to do. And finally, your IntelliJ will get installed. Now, the major reason of using IntelliJ here is you don't have to download or take care of the Maven integration with IntelliJ like we do for Eclipse. Maven comes fully functional and integrated with IntelliJ, so you don't have to worry about the integration and all other stuff or the plugin installation for Maven and so on. So Maven comes as a bundle in IntelliJ, so we can directly go ahead and start using it. So once your IntelliJ installation gets complete, your icon should be displayed on the desktop, or you can click on this icon here to open IntelliJ. It will get open. Now, since I've been using IntelliJ for long, I have this recently used projects or created projects. The recent list is been coming up here, but you won't be able to see any recent lists if you install the IntelliJ for the first time on your machine. So to create a new project, we'll be clicking on this new project button here. Initially, it will take you to the new project tab here. But if you want to create a Maven project, we can come to the generators tab here and click on the Maven archetype. There are certain fields here like name, location, JDK, catalog, archetype, version, additional properties, and advanced settings. So we'll go one by one with all these fields, and I'll let you know what all these fields and what values do you need to enter. So the name refers to the project name. We can enter the project name as Maven Demo. Location refers to the place where your actually your project will get saved to. So by default, it will be saved to my home location on the GitHub folder. The JDK that I have installed on my machine and is recently available is JDK 17. Catalog remains as internal. Let it remain as default as internal only. For the archetype, just click on this button here and type quick start. So we have this archetype as quick start available here. We can click on it. So it will by default display the version, which will remain as it is. Like there's no, if there are any recent version or latest version available apart from what is been displayed as default, you can like navigate and select the appropriate version you like. For us, it's just one by default 1.1, and we'll be using that. We don't need to provide any additional properties here, so we'll leave it as it is. Coming to the advanced settings. So the group ID ideally refers to your website name or the project name that you have. Not the project name, but the website or name, the domain, the name with the domain. So for example, if your website is example.com or google.com, you put the name of group ID in reverse order, like com.google, com.example. So my website name is mfaisalkhatri.github.io. I'll be putting the values as io.github.mfaisalkhatri, and the artifact ID refers to your project name. So the name that you have given here by default will appear in the artifact ID. The version let it remain as it is, like 1.0 snapshot, and click on the create button. Now once you create on the create button, Maven will automatically set up the pom.xml and the default folder structure for you. So you can see the build automatically started. The build was automatically started, and it ended as a build success status screen that can be displayed in the bottom of the section here. And also you can see the pom.xml getting generated by default with a dependency of JUnit in it. So by default, Maven will put up a dependency of JUnit, considering if we want to use the project for a testing purpose. So if you want, you can keep it as it is, or if you don't want it, you can remove it. So for now, I'll remove this dependency section here. And uh, coming to the folder structure now. So Maven automatically, like I said, it automatically creates a folder structure. So there are two folders created by default on the root folder. So but there's a src, that refers to source, and inside this we have two folders called main and test. Uh, and then inside both of these folders we have a Java folder and then respective package, that the package name actually refers to the group ID that you mentioned. And ideally it creates a default app and its respective app test as well. If you want, we can keep it, or else we can go ahead and delete these two files as well. So I don't need it. I'll just delete these two files here, app and app test, as I don't need it. Now I have a default folder structure available, which is ready to use, and I also have the pom.xml, which is available for use. I can go ahead, put up the dependencies, and then start working. Now, what does dependencies mean here? So if you are not using Maven, you are creating a plain Maven, plain Java project, you will have to additionally or manually go ahead and add up all the dependencies. So for example, you want to add up a Selenium based project, you want to create a Selenium based project and run the web automation test in it with TestNG. So ideally, if you are not using a Maven project and you are using a kind of a Java project only, you will have to manually download all the jar files, and that is very tedious and boring task, and we'll have to put it in the external libraries that is been displayed here. So it will be a different kind of a project for Java, and you'll have to manually download and put up all the dependencies in a folder for jars. All the jar files needs to be manually downloaded and put up in the folder there. But in case of Maven, you don't have to worry about manually putting or additionally adding any dependencies going forward. We have the pom.xml and the dependency section to take care of all this stuff. Now, how do we add a dependency here? So we can go to the Maven repository website over the internet. So for example, I want to download the Selenium Java dependency. So let's search for Selenium Java, and I can see the latest version is 4.11.0. Just click on it, it will copy, and then we can just go ahead and put up the dependency here. Similarly, let's also put the testng dependency. Let's search for testng. The latest version is 7.8.0. Let's copy this and put it here. Now once you copy and paste these dependencies here, you'll see this load Maven changes icon displayed here. We need to click on it so that it downloads the dependencies and actually puts it up in the external libraries folder. Let's click on it and see. As soon as we click on that Maven icon, we see lots of dependencies and the jar files coming up here for Selenium 4.11.0 and as well as for testng. This makes the task easier for us. We don't have to worry about adding the dependencies here. Now let's discuss about pom.xml a bit. So there are it is the heart of Maven project. So POM is an acronym for project object model, and it takes care of all the dependencies, builds, and the different plugins that we want to add up here. So adding up the dependencies we already saw. Now let's set up some plugins to the pom.xml. Now, how do we do that? So let's create the build section first. And inside this build section, we need to create a section for plugins. And inside these plugins, we can create a section for the respective plugin that we need to add in. Now let's add a plugin for Maven compiler. So here is the Maven compiler plugin. The latest version is 3.11. We just need to copy this dependency that has been provided here and paste it here. So we can remove the dependency section from here. And then, so once we add this plugin, we can also add the configuration for this plugin, and the configuration will be like Maven force compiler use, and we can set it to true. We can also set like the encoding part, and then can be set to UTF-8. Also, we can add the release version. Like for example, I'm using Java 17 here, but if in your case, if you want to like update a version to use, like for example, Java 11, Java 17, based on your requirement, you can update the version here as well. So for here, I'll be updating the version as 17, and that is how it would look like. So this is the final pom.xml. This is similarly, we can add up the different plugins like Maven Surefire plugin as well. And based upon the configuration that we want to use, we can go ahead and add up all those tags and use it in the project. Now we have already implemented the dependencies, but and the plugins. Let me click on this refresh icon so that the dependencies and the plugins get updated, and respective dependencies get jar files get downloaded and added up in the external libraries as well. So until and unless you click on this Maven icon here, your Maven or the pom.xml won't get reloaded and the respective dependencies won't be downloaded. So in case of Eclipse IDE, if you just press Control S or you save the pom.xml, the libraries, external libraries, and the dependencies get downloaded automatically on save. But in case of IntelliJ, you'll have to manually click on the Maven refresh icon. That will eventually load the changes that you have made to the pom.xml. Now coming to the next section, like using the properties block. Now, this is the most important thing which I like the most in pom.xml. You see, we have the different versions maintained in the dependencies. Like for Selenium, it's 4.11. For TestNG, it's 7.8.0. For version of Maven compiler, it's 3.11, and the configuration settings and so on. You can all move all these dependencies version as well as the configurations and plugin versions to the properties block. It has some added advantage there, which I'll show you once I update these versions uh, in the properties block, in the pom.xml's property block. So let me first create a version for Selenium. Selenium hyphen java dot version, and then update the value as 4.11.0 here. And how do I use this version that I have in the that I have updated in the properties block? I can use it as a placeholder. So I can just type a dollar curly braces and then Selenium Java version. So this is how it is referenced from the properties block. Same way I'll update it for testng as well. Testng dot version. Let me create the version here. Testng dot version. The value is 7.8.0. Likewise, let me update for Maven compiler plugin as well. Just copy this artifact ID put it here, and dot version. And the version for compiler plugin is 3.11.0. Let me also put the encoding as well. Maven compiler dot encoding, which is UFT-8. So as soon as you add something in the properties block, you can see it coming up directly in the pop-up. And the 17 refers to the Java version. So I'll just type in java-release dot version, and that's 17. So let me update it here. Java release version. Click on save, and then click on this Maven icon here to make the relevant changes in the application, in the Pom.xml. Sorry. So ideally, our properties block as well as the dependencies have been updated here. Now, let's check out to run some of the Maven commands here. So let's click on this toolbar here, and in the execute Maven goal, let's just run. So before we do that, let me write a short test that can be used to run the that we can use to run using Maven command. So let's create Selenium demo test. Okay, Selenium demo test, and inside that test we'll just use a public void test Google page. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll instantiate a driver equal to new Chrome driver. Now with the release of 4.11.0, Selenium Manager has been introduced. Selenium WebDrivers release related to 4.11.0. We have a Selenium Manager introduced that takes care automated driver management as well as Chrome browser management. So you don't have to provide any external path to any driver executable as well. You can check out my blog related to the Selenium WebDriver Manager as well. I've shared the links in the comment as well as in the description. So we'll just move to the Google page, https://www.google.co.in, and then just print out the title, driver.get title. But for doing that, since we are using testng, let me add a testng XML as well, or we can leave it as it is for time being now. And let me show you the commands. So we can just use the mvn clean install command here. Once you run the command, so it says unsupported error. I think I have updated wrong encoding. It should be UTF-8. Okay, and as you can see, as we have not mentioned driver.quit, the driver did not get quit. So let's add quickly driver.quit as well. So our driver gracefully exits when the test gets complete. Mvn clean install. So the driver gets open, and we see the value Google printing out here. So as the test ran, you can see it downloaded the plugin as well as the required values that were required for running the dependencies were downloaded again as we ran the mvn clean install command there. Now let's run another command called mvn clean test, which will eventually invoke the test and run the test by downloading the dependencies again and then showing us the result of the test execution, like build success and test that were run one. We can also see the output that we printed out, the title coming out here. Now, as we have already used properties block for updating and maintaining the versions of the dependencies and the plugins in pom.xml, let me show you one added benefit that can be used to run the test, that can be used while running the test actually. So ideally, if you see here, we are using Selenium Java version 4.11.0 and the testng version as 7.8.0. Now, if in case there's a latest version coming up that's above 7.8.0 for testng, and for Selenium Java maybe like 4.13 or something like 5 coming up in near future. So if you want to verify whether your project is compatible and runs fine on the latest version of the dependencies, so without updating that version in your pom.xml, you can directly run the test by providing the command as since we already have the placeholder for testng version and Selenium Java version that can be used to run the test. So in case like here we don't have the, we are already on the latest version. So I'll show you and demo you out how do we run the test on a different version that is other than what is mentioned in the pom.xml. So we'll have to come here to the execute goal statement, open the Maven toolbar first, come to the execute goal statement toolbar here. And once this window opens, type in the command like mvn clean install, the -d, this can be used, and then the placeholder like test ng dot version equal to, so let's like run for an older version .7.5.1 and press enter. So you can see uh, the test running successfully, but before that Maven downloaded the required dependency for 7.5.1 from Maven Central repository and then added it to the project, and then the tests were run on the respective version that was provided in the command, that was 7.5.1. Okay. So this is how we can make use of the properties block to update the dependencies without updating the respective values in the pom.xml in the property section. We can directly update the values of the respective version that we need by using the placeholder value that I've set in the properties block, and ideally we can run the test on it. The other case that I wanted to show was so in case what happens if the dependency is not available, like if you mention a wrong version, for example 7.5.0 testng version, and for that an artifact is not available on Maven Central, what happens? So if I run the test using the 7.5.0, it says that project it says that the build failed, and the respective reason is mentioned like could not resolve dependencies for project in this snapshot, and that org.testng jar 7.5.0 was not found on the Maven repository during a previous attempt. So this ideally helps us a lot to verify the versions also on runtime, and also run the respective version with the test with the respective version using the command line interface as well. So that is an added benefit of using properties block in pom.xml. So I hope you got a better understanding on creating a Maven project using IntelliJ, using pom.xml, updating the dependencies, and using the properties block in pom.xml. Keep watching this space for more such information videos, and I'll be setting up the next video related to running tests using Selenium WebDriver with Java. So keep watching, do subscribe, like, and share this video for more popularity. Thank you so much.